Mother of God, man. There's a person in here.
Hi.
Are you Miss Staples?
Yes, how can I help you?
So, we got kind of a weird phone call. Do you know Latricia?
No.
No?
I don't know anybody out here.
Some lady called DCFS.
What?
And kind of made some claims that you had a child that accidentally shot themselves?
Absolutely not.
No, it sounds crazy to me, too. That's what...
I am so sorry about this. My ex-husband, his new girlfriend, this broad is off the chain. I have went down to Rock Island and filed a police report on her. She has made up different names, called me from different numbers. I have changed my number, tried to do everything I can.
Right. So they made some allegation that you had a son and he shot himself and he's in your
Come on
basement.
now.
So this woman keeps her 10-year-old son in a trash can for 7 months and nobody notices. I'm not talking about a metaphorical trash can, and I'm not talking about a figurative hiding spot. I am talking about a literal metal garbage can sitting in her garage while she goes about her daily life like absolutely nothing is wrong. She's taking her other kids to school, she's waving at neighbors, she's posting on social media, she's living a completely normal suburban life. Meanwhile, her son, her actual flesh and blood, is decomposing a few feet away from where she parks her car. And when the police finally show up to ask where he is, she doesn't just lie. She doesn't just make up a story about him being at summer camp. She looks them dead in the eye and tries to convince them that he never even existed. She tries to gaslight the entire police department into believing that she never had a son. This is the story of Sushi Staples and the death of Zion Staples. And I have to warn you right now, this case is going to make you question absolutely everything you think you know about maternal instinct. You hear these stories about mother's intuition and how a mom would lift a car to save her baby. Yeah, throw that out the window. This is the exact opposite of that. This is a story about a level of cold, calculated indifference that is honestly hard to wrap your brain around. And the worst part? The system, the schools, the neighbors, the agencies that are supposed to protect kids, they all missed it. A 10-year-old boy just vanished from the face of the earth, and for 7 months, the world just kept turning. So let's go back to the beginning. We're in Rock Island, Illinois. It's a decent-sized city on the Mississippi River, part of the Quad Cities area. It's the kind of place that feels grounded, normal. You've got neighborhoods with nice lawns, families doing their thing, people going to work. Sushi Staples is a 37-year-old mother living in one of these neighborhoods. To the outside world, she looks like a regular mom. She's got daughters, she's got a house, she's got a life. But there's a missing piece to this puzzle that nobody seems to be asking about loud enough. She also has a son named Zion, or at least she did. Zion Staples is 10 years old. 10. Just think about what you were doing at 10 years old. You were probably riding bikes, playing video games, dreading math class, maybe getting into Pokemon or whatever kids are into these days. It's an age where you're starting to become a little person with your own personality and friends. But for Zion, his world was about to get very small and very dark, because sometime around December 2022, Zion disappears. He just stops being seen. He's not playing in the yard, he's not seen walking to school, he's just gone. Now, usually when a kid disappears, panic sets in immediately, right? The parents call 911 within minutes, the neighbors start search parties, the news vans show up. But in this house, silence. Absolute, deafening silence. Christmas comes and goes, New Year's comes and goes, spring break comes and goes, the 4th of July comes and goes. And through all of these holidays, through all of these months, Zion remains unseen. And Sushi Staples, she's just chilling. She's living her life. Does any of this sound normal to you? Tell me in the comments, because I feel like I'm taking crazy pills just reading about this. How do you hide a 10-year-old for 7 months? It's not like hiding a set of keys. Kids are loud, they take up space, they need food, they need school. Unless, of course, they don't need any of those things anymore. Fast forward to July 25th, 2023, 7 months later. The Department of Children and Family Services, DCFS, gets an anonymous tip. And this tip is specific. It's not just, I haven't seen the kid in a while. The tipster alleges that something terrible has happened. They claim that Zion accidentally shot himself months ago and that his mother never called the police. Instead, she allegedly hid the body in the basement. Now, let's pause here. If you get a call saying your kid shot themselves, what is your reaction? You scream, you call 911, you try to stop the bleeding, you panic. You do not, under any circumstances, decide to play a game of Weekend at Bernie's with the body. But according to this tip, that's exactly what happened. The caller says Sushi made a comment back in January 3rd to be exact, that Christmas would never be the same again. Chilling, right? It's one of those lines that sounds like regular depression or sadness until you know the context, and then it sounds like a confession. So Rock Island police get this tip and they have to investigate. They send officers over to Sushi's house for a welfare check. Now, body cam footage of this interaction has been released, and it is fascinating to watch. The officers roll up to the house in the evening. It's a nice evening. The sun is still up. They knock on the door. Sushi answers. She's calm. She's not frantic. She's not acting like a woman with a dead body in her house. She's acting like a woman who is annoyed that her dinner is being interrupted. The officer explains why they're there. He says, some lady called DCFS and kind of made some claims that you had a child that accidentally shot themselves. He's being polite, he's doing his job. And Sushi, she immediately goes on the offensive. She immediately denies it, blames the call on her ex-husband's girlfriend, calling it harassment. She's playing the victim card hard. Oh, she's just trying to start drama. She's jealous. She's crazy. It's a classic deflection tactic. Then the officer gets more specific. He says, they made some allegation that you had a son and he shot himself and he's here in this house. So that's where we're at right now. Do you have a son named Zion? This is the moment. This is the moment where a normal person would break. This is the moment where you'd expect her to say, okay, look, something happened. It was an accident. But Sushi Staples looks him in the eye and says, no, I don't. You never had a son named Zion? No, I don't. She denies his existence. She just deletes him from reality. Can you imagine the level of dissociation you have to do that? To sit there and say, I don't have a son when you know exactly where he is. The officer presses her. Are you claiming benefits for a kid named Zion? No, I haven't gotten any benefits for anyone. She starts spinning this wild story about identity theft. She claims a woman stole her identity and falsely filed taxes in her name. I've been working with
the IRS. It's all lies. It's all chaff. She's throwing up so much dust, hoping the officers will get confused and leave. The officer brings up DCFS records. One of the calls from 2021, DCFS came out to your residence in Chicago and there was a Zion Staples there. He's looking at the paper. He knows Zion exists. Sushi shakes her head. We had kids in the neighborhood come over. Some of those kids that were implicated were not, in fact, our children. They were there attending a party. So now Zion is just some kid from the neighborhood. He's just a party guest. He's a phantom. This goes on for a while. It's infuriating to watch. She is so confident in her lie. She doesn't stutter, she doesn't cry, she just lies. It's pathological. But here's the thing about police searches. They find things. While she's sitting there lying her face off, other officers are tearing her bedroom apart. And guess what they find? A birth certificate and a social security card. Name on the card? Zion Staples. Mother's name? Sushi Staples. The officer walks back into the kitchen holding the documents. This is the gotcha moment. He puts them on the table. Sushi Staples, child of. It was found in your room, along with a social security card. We need to get this figured out. Stop lying. He pauses for effect. It's over. Where's that kid? You'd think she would fold here, right? You'd think she'd see the birth certificate and realize the game is up. But no. She just stares. She doubles down. She tries to say she doesn't know what they're talking about. It is mind-boggling. Meanwhile, the search moves to the garage. Now remember, the neighbors had been complaining about a smell, but Rock Island in the summer, it's hot. There are raccoons, there are opossums. One neighbor actually told the news later,
I had a dead raccoon in my backyard, and I couldn't even stand the smell waiting for garbage day, so I can't imagine that with the wind directions that nobody would smell that. People smelled something, but they rationalized it. They thought it was dead animals. They thought it was garbage. Nobody wants to think, oh, that smell? That's definitely the neighbor's decomposing child. Our brains don't go there. We protect ourselves from that reality. The officers enter the garage. It's cluttered, full of stuff. Tucked away in an inside corner, there is a circular metal trash can. It's not a fancy bin, it's just a standard old-school metal can with a lid, the kind you see in cartoons. An officer approaches it. He's probably dreading what he's about to find. He lifts the lid, and there it is. Inside the can, wrapped in plastic and blankets, is the body of a small child, Zion Staples. He hadn't been in the basement, he had been in the garage, in the heat, for 7 months. December, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, through freezing winter and scorching summer, just sitting there. The crime scene technicians come in, they take photos, they drag the can out. The body is in a state of advanced decomposition, obviously. I won't get too graphic, but you can imagine what 7 months in a non-climate controlled environment does to a body. It's a horrific sight. These officers, who have seen everything, are shaken. And Sushi, once the body is found, the dynamic changes. The "I don't have a son" act falls apart. She is arrested. She's taken into custody. The charges start piling up. Concealment of a death, failure to report the death of a child under 13, obstruction of justice. The autopsy is conducted, and this confirms the tipster's story, at least partially. Zion didn't...
Mother of God, man. What if I in here?
Hi.
Are you Miss Staples?
Yes, how can I help you?
So we got kind of a weird phone call. Do you know Latricia?
No.
No.
I don't know anybody out here.
Some lady called DCFS. And,
What?
And kind of made some claims that you had a child that actually shot themselves.
Absolutely not.
No, it sounds crazy to me too. That's what.
I am so sorry about this. My ex-husband, his new girlfriend, this broad is off the chain. I have went down to Rock Island and filed a police report on her. She has made up different names, called me from different numbers. I have changed my number, tried to do everything I can.
Right. So they made some allegation that you had a son and he shot himself.
Sir,
And he's in your
come on
basement.
now. You think? Look where I live.
No, I get it. Just so I can check the box off, can I look in your basement real quick and I'll get out
No,
of here?
you need a search warrant to do that. I'm sorry, I'm not about to have my rights violated because someone makes Uranus allegations like this.
I know. And you guys only have girls?
Yes.
Okay.
I have 4. Do you want to see them?
No. They said it was a son. I was just curious if that's even true.
It's not.
Okay.
It's a never-ending story with these two.
I get. Like I said, I'm not trying to bother you or anything, but we get a call. No matter how crazy it sounds, we still got to come up and see if there's any truth. All right. Sorry to bug you. Like I said, we get a call. Even if it sounds crazy, we got to come see what's going on.
Man, this lady, I don't even know what to say about her. It's never ending.
All right.
I have doorbell cams here.
I saw that.
Look, I'm here. I ain't got nothing to hide.
Okay.
Staples denies her own son's existence. Instead, she blames her ex-husband's new wife. With no proof of wrongdoing, the police have no choice but to leave for now. The first welfare check yields only Staples' lies. But something about her story feels off. The next morning, officers return, this time with reinforcements and a search warrant.
She looked out the window. Hello?
Yes.
Sushi? Can you come out?
What's going on?
Well, just step on out. I'll explain everything.
Wait a minute, my kid's in here.
Okay, I understand that, but we have a search warrant for the
We're asking you for
house.
your cooperation to be up front with us.
Okay, hold on.
So step on out.
No, step
What
out.
size of the house do you all have a search warrant for?
The whole house.
The whole house.
You need to step out. Step out.
Okay, I'm gonna
Well,
open the door.
open the door.
Well, I'll walk in casually. We're not going to tear up your house or anything, so...
Calm down, my kids are in here.
Okay.
Please.
How many?
4.
And where at in the house?
They're upstairs. I just
Die of natural causes. He didn't die of an illness. He died of a gunshot wound. The coroner determined it was likely in December 2022. So now we have to piece together what actually happened.
The prevailing theory, and what Sushi eventually alluded to, is that it was an accidental shooting. Maybe Zion found a gun in the house, maybe he was playing with it, maybe it went off. We don't know the exact mechanics because the only witness who is talking is a proven liar. But let's assume for a second it was an accident. If your child accidentally shoots themselves, what do? You call 911, you scream for help. Even if he's dead instantly, you call the police, you grieve, you have a funeral. You don't wrap him in plastic, stuff him in a trash can, and pretend he never existed. Why did she hide him? Was the gun illegal? Was she afraid of going to jail for negligence? Was she afraid DCFS would take her other kids? Probably all of the above. But think about the trade-off she made. To avoid getting in trouble for an accident or negligence, she decided to commit a heinous crime of concealment that is arguably morally worse than the accident itself. She chose to desecrate her son's body rather than face the music. And she kept up the charade for over half a year. She woke up every morning knowing he was in the garage. She parked her car next to him. She brought groceries in past him. Her daughters probably played in the driveway near that garage. Everything seemed really normal, one neighbor said. Knowing what was in the garage about 30 feet from their new house, it's worrying and kind of scary. It's terrifying. It's the definition of a horror movie. The monster isn't under the bed, the monster is the mom, and the victim is in the trash can. Let's talk about the system for a second. How does a 10-year-old drop off the grid? He was in school at some point. Did the school not call? Did they not send a truancy officer? Did neighbors not ask, hey, where's Zion? It seems Sushi told people he was with relatives. She told people he was okay. And people believed her, because why wouldn't you? You don't want to assume your neighbor is a monster. We rely on the social contract. We assume parents love their kids. Sushi Staples exploited that trust. She used our collective denial against us. And let's go back to that interrogation. The level of lying she displayed wasn't just panic, it was calculated. She had months to prepare for this moment. She knew eventually someone might ask, and her plan was simple: deny everything. Even when faced with a birth certificate, she denied. It's almost like she believed her own lie. Psychologists call this compartmentalization, locking the trauma away in a box so tight you don't even look at it. But in her case, the box was a trash can. When the news broke, the community was outraged, obviously. People were sickened. There were vigils, there were teddy bears left near the house. Everyone was asking the same question: why? And then the legal process started. Sushi Staples was held on a $500,000 bond. She appeared in court, she had a public defender, and initially she faced some heavy charges. But the wheels of justice turn in strange ways. The prosecution had a challenge. They could prove she hid the body, they could prove she lied, but could they prove she pulled the trigger? Or was the gunshot truly self-inflicted and accidental? Without a witness, without a confession to murder, proving homicide beyond a reasonable doubt is hard. The physical evidence, after 7 months of decomposition, is compromised. So a deal was cut. On January 4th, 2024, Sushi pled guilty, but not to murder, not even to manslaughter. She pled guilty to endangering the life of a child. In exchange, prosecutors dropped the charges of obstruction of justice, failure to report the death of a child under 13, and concealment of a death. The sentence? 2 years in prison. 2. Wait, let me say that again so it sinks in. She hid her son's body in a trash can for 7 months, lied to police, desecrated his remains, and denied his existence. And she got 2 years. And with time served and good behavior credits, she could be out much sooner. Does that sound like justice to you? I want you to really think about that. A 10-year-old boy is dead. His body was treated like garbage, and the person responsible for his care, the person who should have protected him, gets a sentence shorter than some people get for drug possession. It feels like a slap in the face to Zion. It feels like his life wasn't worth anything. The judge, during sentencing, didn't hold back his opinion, even if his hands were tied by the plea deal and the sentencing guidelines. He essentially said she failed everyone. She failed her son, she failed her daughters, she failed the community. But words don't keep people in prison, the law does. And in this case, the law couldn't pin a murder on her, so they pinned what they could. What would you even do here if you were the judge? Would you reject the plea deal and risk a trial where she might walk free if they can't prove how she died? Or do you take the sure thing, the guilty plea, even if the sentence feels like a joke? It's a terrible dilemma. Prosecutors make these calls every day, trading certainty for severity. They wanted some conviction on record, but for the public, for the people watching this unfold, it feels hollow.
This case is a grim reminder of what happens behind closed doors. We think we know our neighbors. We think we know what's happening in our communities, but we don't. Sushi Staples was a master of disguise. She wore the mask of a normal suburban mom while hiding a secret that would make a horror movie director blush. And think about the surviving children, those daughters. They lived in that house. Did they know? Were they told Zion ran away? Were they told to keep a secret? The psychological trauma inflicted on those girls is unimaginable. They lost their brother, and then they lost their mother to prison, however briefly, and they found out that their entire life for the last 7 months was a lie. They were sleeping under the same roof as their brother's corpse. That is the kind of stuff that requires a lifetime of therapy to even begin to unpack. If you're still watching, you have to admit this is one of the darkest stories we've ever covered. It's not just the death, it's the indignity, it's the trash can. It's the fact that she looked at her son, her baby, and decided he belonged with the refuse. That is a level of dehumanization that is truly evil. So, Sushi Staples is serving her time. She'll be out, she'll walk the streets again. Maybe she'll move to a new town. Maybe she'll change her name. But she will always be the woman who tried to throw her son away. And Zion? Zion is gone. His potential, his future, his smile, all gone. The takeaway here? If you see something, say something. That anonymous tipster, they are the hero of this story. Without that call, Zion might still be in that garage. Sushi might still be living her lie. That one person who decided to pick up the phone and say something isn't right, they brought the truth to light. So trust your gut. If a kid disappears, ask questions. If a neighbor acts weird, pay attention. Because sometimes the monsters are real, and they live right next door. I'm Ray William Johnson, and this has been the story of the boy in the trash can. It's tragic, it's infuriating, and it's true. Don't forget to subscribe, because we dig up these stories to shine a light on the dark corners of the world. And trust me, there are plenty more dark corners left to explore. Stay safe out there, and for the love of everything, check on your neighbors. Okay, let's dig deeper into the psychology of this, because I know you guys are screaming at your screens right now asking why? Why would a mother do this? I mean, we've seen cases of postpartum psychosis, we've seen cases of abuse, but this specific act of hiding a 10-year-old, it speaks to a profound fear of consequences that overrides basic human decency. Think about the panic she must have felt in that moment in December. Let's assume the accidental shooting theory is true. Bang, the gun goes off, Zion falls, silence. In that split second, her life forks into two paths. Path A, call 911. Police come, ambulance comes, they try to save him. If he dies, there's an investigation. Was the gun secured? Was she negligent? She might face charges. She might lose her other kids to foster care. Her reputation is ruined. She becomes the mom whose kid shot himself. It's a nightmare path, but it's the human path. It's the path of truth. Path B? Silence. Hide the evidence. Pretend it didn't happen. If she hides him, nobody knows. No police, no DCFS immediately. She keeps her daughters. She keeps her freedom. But the cost is her soul. The cost is living with a corpse. And she chose path B. She looked at those two options and decided that preserving her own life and freedom was worth her son's dignity. That is a level of narcissism that is hard to comprehend. It's survival instinct twisted into something monstrous. And then the maintenance of the lie. Lying is hard. Keeping a story straight is hard. But she didn't just have to lie to the police. She had to lie to everyone. Where's Zion? Oh, he's visiting his aunt. Where's Zion? He's at camp. Where's Zion? He's sick. Every day a new lie. Every day the weight of the secret gets heavier. And yet she carried it. She carried it for 200 plus days. That requires a level of emotional detachment that borders on sociopathy. You have to be able to shut off the part of your brain that feels guilt, the part that feels grief. And notice how she reacted to the police. The arrogance. Look where I live. That's a tell. That shows she thinks she is above suspicion. She thinks her social status, her nice house, her normal mom persona is a shield. She relies on the bias of the police, the bias that says bad things happen in bad neighborhoods, not here. She tried to weaponize classism to hide a murder. I have a nice lawn, therefore I am innocent. It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off. Spoiler, it didn't. But honestly, the part that gets me the most is the trash can. A trash can. Not a coffin, not a burial in the woods. A trash can. It's so discardable. It symbolizes exactly what he had become to her. Garbage. A problem to be thrown away. That symbolism is what makes this case stick in your throat. It's the ultimate rejection. A mother's job is to nurture, to grow, to protect. To put a child in a trash can is the ultimate betrayal of that biological contract. And let's talk about the neighbors again, the dead raccoon excuse. How many of you have smelled something bad and just ignored it? We all do it. We don't want to be the nosy neighbor. We don't want to cause trouble. But this case proves that sometimes being the nosy neighbor is the right thing to do. If you smell death, maybe call someone. I know, hindsight is 20/20, but it's a lesson. We are so disconnected from each other these days. We live in our bubbles, we scroll on our phones, we ignore the world around us, and in the gaps of our attention, tragic things happen. The anonymous tipster, we need to build a statue for that person, because whoever made that call knew. They knew something was wrong. Maybe they heard the shot back in December. Maybe they saw the sudden change in Sushi's demeanor. Maybe they heard the Christmas comment and put 2 and 2 together. But they waited 7 months. Why? Fear? Uncertainty? Maybe they didn't want to ruin a family if they were wrong. Calling DCFS is a nuclear option. You don't do it lightly. But thank God they finally did. Because if they hadn't, how long would this have gone on? A year? 2 years? Would she have moved and taken the can with her? Would she have eventually buried him? We'll never know. Let's pivot back to the sentence because the comments are going to be on fire about this. 2 years. People get more time for tax fraud. People get more time for selling weed in some states. How is the life of a child worth 2 years? This brings up the issue of concealment laws. In many states, concealing a death is a lower-level felony. It's seen as a crime against the administration of justice, not a crime against the person. The law sees it as lying to the police, not desecrating a human being. But shouldn't it be? Shouldn't hiding a body, especially a child's body, carry a sentence that reflects the moral horror of the act? Legislators need to look at cases like this and say, hey, maybe our laws have a loophole. If you can hide a body so well that the cause of death can't be proven, and then you only get a slap with the wrist for the hiding, you're basically incentivizing murderers to hide bodies. Think about it. If she had called 911 and it was an accident, she might not have faced jail. But if she had murdered him and called 911, she'd face life. By hiding him, she gambled, and in a sick way, she won the legal game. She avoided a murder charge, if it was murder, and avoided a heavy negligence charge if it was an accident by creating a situation where the evidence was rot. She served 2 years instead of potentially 20 or life. That is a terrifying precedent. It tells criminals, hide the body well enough and the law can't touch you. This is why we cover true crime, not just for the shock value, but to expose the cracks in the system. The cracks in our neighborhoods, the cracks in our laws, the cracks in our human nature. Zion Staples fell through every single one of those cracks. I want to take a moment to imagine Zion. He was 10. He probably liked superhero movies. He probably had a favorite color. He probably had a crush on a girl at school. He was a real person. He wasn't just a body in a trash can. He was a boy who deserved to grow up. He deserved a mom who would call an ambulance, not a garbage man. He deserved a society that noticed when he was gone. When you go to bed tonight, hug your kids, check on your loved ones, and realize that the veneer of normalcy is very thin, very thin. Underneath the manicured lawns and the polite waves, there are secrets. Hopefully they aren't this dark, but you never truly know. This story is going to haunt me. It's one of those that sticks with you. The image of the officers dragging that can out of the garage, it's burned into my brain. And the audio of her voice, "Stop lying, it's over." That moment of confrontation is cinematic, but it's real-life tragedy. Tell me in the comments, do you think the sentence was fair? Do you think the laws need to change? And honestly, could you have lived next door to this and not known? Be honest, because I'd like to think I would know, but man, people are good at hiding things. Also, shout out to the Rock Island Police Department. They get a lot of flack, police always do, but they followed up. They got the warrant, they pressed her, they didn't take no for an answer. That detective at the table, he knew. He sensed the lie, and he didn't let up. That's good police work. It doesn't bring